Today I want to review a few items that you're going to need to know and understand for the test. So we're going to talk about some sorting and some formulas, talk a little bit about indent and cell styles. So those are some of the topics we're going to deal with. To do this, we need to go to Class Files. So on your desktop, if you will go to Class Files, IIT, Excel, the file you're going to need to open is Data Table Files. So open that file up and save this file to your Documents folder. Create a folder with today's date. Alright, I'm assuming you've saved this file. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through these steps here. Now on this particular sheet, all the data is on Lone Pine here at the bottom of the sheet. Okay, the instructions are here on sheet 1. So what they want to do is they want you to first sort by the sales rep and then by region. Now whenever you're asked to sort by two different things on the certification exam, you're going to have to do both at the same time. So what I'd like you to do is open up the custom sort and sort first by sales rep and then by region. When you're done, your sales reps should be in order, and then within that group, your region should be in order. Alright? So sales rep and then by region. The next instruction is they want you to filter by the category of tents. So go ahead and create a filter so that only the tent category is showing. So at this point, you should see a list that looks something like this. Alright, for this next item, okay, items number 3 and 4 here, rows 3 and 4, we're actually going to do this on this spreadsheet. So here they want to select cells A7 to A10, okay, and I want you to indent by 2. Now we did talk about this last class, so I'm going to give you a second to indent this by 2. I do want to point out that this could have been done using the increase indent button and clicking it 2 times would have accomplished the same goal. Alright, to these same cells, they want to add a cell style, this 40% accent 5. Now, the next few items, and I'm going to resize column A at this point. I'm just going to drag it so that it is 11, a width of 11 points here. And what we want to do is we want to do these calculations, okay? They're not specifically instructed. I want to sum the sales for Fuller, okay? So let's go over to Lone Pine and let's find the sales for Fuller. So to make this happen, we need to use the SUMIF function. So I'm going to use the AutoSum dropdown to get my SUMIF function. Okay, so I found my SUMIF function. Now my range. My range, if I'm looking for Fuller sales, my range is all of the sales reps. So I'm going to select my sales reps. The criteria in this case is Fuller. Now because Fuller is over here on the left separate from it, I can simply click to the left over here to select that. That way when I copy this down later, it will change. Alright? The sum range is my sales figures. Now, because I do want to copy this down, I need to do absolute references here. So I'm going to click up where it says range Lone Pine up here, D4, and I'm going to make this an absolute reference. Remember the F4 key on your keyboard changes a regular reference to an absolute reference. And I'm going to repeat that process for each one of these references here on the range area. So D4 and D67 have been made absolute. I'm going to repeat the process for the sum range. I'm going to make this absolute and this absolute. Now I'm not going to make the criteria absolute, and that's because when I copy this down, I want A7, the Fuller reference, to then point to Cole, and then point to Moss and Adams. So I set the range and the sum range to absolute references without changing the criteria to an absolute reference. I click OK, and it calculates the sales for Fuller. Now, if I copy this formula down, it does indeed change to where the values in each cell is different because this one is adding up Cole sales, Moss sales, and Adams sales. Alright, now at this point, we're going to do almost the same thing, but instead of summing, we want to average their sale amounts. So we're going to use the average if function. For some reason my search is not working, so I'm going to change my most recently used to all so that I can find average if. So with average if selected, I'm going to invoke the same logic that I did before. My range, first thing I need to do is I need to find the Fuller items. So in Lone Pine, I'm going to select all of my sales reps. Since I know I'm going to be doing absolute references later, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that now. So I'm going to click on D4 and press the F4 key on my keyboard to change that to an absolute reference. I'm going to click on the D67 and press F4 to make that an absolute reference. My criteria, as before, I'm going to click over here where it says Fuller. That's going to tell the function to look for Fuller. Finally, the average range, I'm going to go back to my Lone Pine, and I'm going to select the sales values. Once again, so when I copy this, these values don't change. I'm going to click on J4 and press my F4 key, J64, and press the F4 key. When I click OK, I now have my average sales function. I can copy that down, and that will calculate the average for each rep. just so that you can notice the difference here. Notice that Fuller sold more items. In other words, his sales was higher. But if you look at their average sales, notice who's doing the best as far as sales goes. Cole, for each sale he makes, is a higher value. Okay, this is some things that we do and why you might do this type of calculation is so that maybe you might have a sales meeting and you want to maybe have Cole talk about how come his sales are higher than the other salespeople, to be able to help the others increase their sales. For this item, I actually want to skip this. The actual function that we need to do in order to make that work is a function that we're not going to be dealing with. It's called a sum ifs with an S on it, which is more complicated than what we're looking to do. Alright, what I want to do is I want to find the max sales amount. I want to know in this list that I have here which sales is the highest. Now, rather than me go through and select that particular one, I'm going to let Excel tell me the sale amount that is the highest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the max function, and I'm going to come over here and select all of my sales. When I press the Enter key on my keyboard, it will tell me that the highest sale is 3119.88. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to see that that is indeed, there's several people that made that amount of a sale, but I'm going to stick with this first one right here. Let's take a look at Adams. Okay, this is the one that I want to focus on. Okay, what it wants to do, and this is going to be done in cell A14, it says use concatenate to combine the sales rep and the amount of the sales. What I'm specifically referring to is I want to give, who was the rep? I want to give Adams credit for making this $3,119 sale. Guys, this is something very similar to what you will see on the certification exam. And so they're going to tell you to concatenate, you know, maybe it's a sales rep, maybe it's a team, select the, the football team that scored, the most wins in the season. So you're going to select maybe Dallas Cowboys and combine it with their number of wins. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the concatenate function as it says. So I'm going to go find the concatenate function. Okay, and we've used the concatenate function before, but it's usually in combining names. Now we're going to use it to combine two items. So I'm going to go to Lone Pine, and I'm going to click on the Adams sales rep for row 4 here. Now, in the instruction, it shows you putting a dash in between. So what I'm going to do is, for text 2, I'm going to do a space, dash, space, so that it mirrors the dash that is here. Then for text 3, it says the amount of the sales. Well, I'm not going to type the amount of the sales. I'm going to go back to Lone Pine, and I'm going to click on the sales amount for Adams. Okay, so I've combined the salesperson's name, a dash, and then the amount of the sale. When I click OK, I will then see in cell A14 the salesperson's name, a dash, and the amount that he sold. Alright, this concludes this particular warm-up for the day. Please upload this file to NGrade. It's going to be labeled Data Tables. Okay, Excel Data Tables is where you will upload this. Thank you, and have a great day.